This video lecture is about the literature survey. What is literature survey? What is the importance of literature survey? And how it is carried out. So the first thing is, what is literature survey? A literature survey is a survey of scholarly sources on a specific topic. It introduces an overview of current knowledge, allowing you to identify relevant theories, methods, and gaps in the existing research. So we can say that literature review summarizes the existing scholarly research on a particular topic. Unlike research papers, which establish new arguments and make original contributions, literature reviews organize and present existing research. So, a literature review is not the introduction of your dissertation, and neither it is a bibliography where you can simply list down all the previous researches conducted on the study. The literature review is an important chapter in your research report where you will be summarizing, assessing, and analyzing all the past researches conducted on the topic. Here you will be giving a fresh view or opinion on the studies previously conducted and will explain the gaps and deficiencies that your study will overcome. Next comes, what is the importance of the literature review? Literature review, first thing is justifying your own research. When we will carry out a literature review, it will allow you to demonstrate what makes your own research valuable. By summarizing the existing research on your research problem, a literature review reveals points of consensus as well as the points of disagreement, as well as the gaps and open questions. The second point is demonstrating your expertise. Before you can write a literature review, you must immerse yourself in significant body of research. By the time you have written the review, you have read widely on your topic and are able to synthesize and logically present the information. This final product establishes you as a trustworthy authority on your topic. Third point is joining the conversation. So if you have conducted a literature review, then you will be able to be part of never-ending conversation on any dialogue among scholars and researchers across continents, centuries, and subject areas. By producing a literature review, you are engaging with all the prior scholars who examined your topic and continuing a cycle that moves the field forward. Next is sources. An information source is a source of information for somebody, that is, anything that might inform a person about something or provide knowledge to somebody. Information sources may be observations, people's speeches, documents, pictures, organizations, etc. So the various types of information sources, they can be broadly categorized into two categories. The first one is the documentary sources and second is non-documentary sources. If we talk of the documentary sources, these can be further classified as primary, secondary and tertiary sources, and the non-documentary sources, they can be categorized as formal sources and informal sources. So if we talk of the primary sources of information are the first published records of original research and development or description of the new application or new interpretation of an old theme or idea. These constitute the latest available information. A researcher producing new information can make it available to the particular community through the primary sources. So we are having different primary sources like periodicals, research reports, conference proceedings, patents, standards, trade literature and thesis. Then comes the secondary sources. Actually, after the condensation and repackaging of the primary sources, it constitutes the secondary sources. Secondary sources of information are those which are either compiled from or refer to primary sources of information. The original information having been casually modified, selected or reorganized so as to serve a definite purpose for a group of users. Information given in primary sources is made available in a more convenient form. It is difficult to find information from primary sources directly. Therefore, one should consult the secondary sources in the first instance, which will lead one to the specific primary sources. So, secondary sources, they include indexing services, abstracting services, review of the progress, reference works, monographs, textbooks, etc. Then comes the tertiary sources. So these are the keys and aids to the secondary and primary sources. For example, the bibliographies, location list of periodical, yearbooks and directories, list of indexing and abstracting services, guides, list of research in progress, guide to professional organizations. So in this way, these tertiary sources, they lead to secondary sources, and secondary sources, they lead to primary sources. Then we come back again to our non-documentary sources. So these non-documentary sources of information form a substantial part of communication, especially in science and technology. User studies have underlined importance of such sources. These sources provide information which other sources do not. Again, we are having two types. First one is the formal sources. Formal sources are research organizations, societies, industries, government departments, universities, and consultants. Then, if we talk of the informal sources, then we are having the conversation with the colleges, visitors, or attendance at professional meetings where these have not been non-documented, these have not been documented. So, information is available just with informal talks. So we can say that this categorization is based on the characteristics of the documents. Primary sources are more current and accurate than secondary and tertiary. In searching for information, a researcher usually starts with secondary and tertiary sources and ends the search with primary sources. Secondary and tertiary sources contain information in organized form, and these serve as guides or indicators to detailed contents of primary literature. With increasing amount of literature being produced, it is becoming almost impossible to use primary sources directly for searching of information. A scholar would also not be able to keep himself up to date and well informed in his field of specialization without the aid of secondary and tertiary sources. So, this goes to show the importance of these sources of information. Next, what is the need of literature review? Then we can give the 4 points for that. The first one is demonstrate your familiarity with the topic and scholarly context. Of course, we will improve or increase our familiarity with the subject. The second is develop a theoretical framework and methodology for your research. Third is position yourself in relation to other researchers and theorists. And last one is show how your research addresses a gap or contributes to a debate. Types of literature review. So the literature review, it can be categorized in 3 categories, we can say. The first one is the evaluative review. Evaluative review is a type of literature review which focuses on providing a discussion of the literature in terms of its coverage and contribution to the knowledge in particular area. It is often used to directly compare research finding of a project with other when findings are directly available. The second one is exploratory review. This type of literature review, which is seeking to find out what actually exists in the academic literature in terms of theory, empirical evidence, and research methods as they pertain to specific research topic and its related wider subject area. It is also used to sharpen, focus, and identify the research questions that remain unanswered in the specific topic. And the last one is instrumental review. This type of literature review, which is seeking to find out how to conduct some research on a highly specific research problem. It is not designed to identify the state of current knowledge in an area, but to identify the best way to carry out a research without incurring unnecessary and unavoidable cost. Then we are having few guidelines for this review. To compose an effective literature review, we have to follow proper formatting and composition guidelines. So these will make composition of the review a lot easier. So when we talk of the guidelines, so the first guideline itself is go through the guidelines. Before the composition of your literature review, make sure that you are aware of the guidelines with respect to the quotes, margins, spacing, citations, and fonts. These core elements will be helpful while you are going through the rest of the steps for writing the research literature review. Second point is identify authentic sources for the research methods literature review. You have to identify and familiarize yourself with authentic sources and databases that can be used for the literature review. Then list them down in bullet form with the latest research coming first. Start summarizing each of the study in few lines. If there are a lot of researches that have been conducted on the topic, then limit your summary to 1 or 2 sentences. Document highlights or landmarks of the study and make sure you give them special attention. Third point is conduct proper analysis of the literature and synthesize accordingly. Composing a good literature doesn't mean that you have to list down the previous researches, but also that you should assess and reorganize them and state your opinions on the topic. This will give the readers a fresh view on the study and make your literature review interesting. Another advantage that the analysis process will serve is that it will tell you which of the researchers have been successful in the past and what methods and techniques they have used. You can take an idea from those for your research. And the last point is develop the literature into a coherent essay. This is the last and final stage to compose everything in the form of an essay. Here you may start with the introduction of the topic, but make sure that you keep the overview brief as you are already covering that in introduction section. Then start with the researches and make sure that they are all properly cited. In conclusion, make sure that you follow the above mentioned steps for an effective research methodology literature review. Then comes the steps. Now, conducting a literature review involves collecting, evaluating, and analyzing the publications that relate to your research problem. There are 5 main steps in the process of writing a literature review. The first step is search for relevant literature. Read the abstract to find out whether an article is relevant to your question. When you find a useful book or article, you can check the bibliography to find other relevant sources. To identify the most important publications on your topic, take note of recurring citations. So, for example, if the same author, book or articles, they keep appearing in your reading, make sure to seek them out. There is one more to find out how many times an article has been cited. That is, you can easily do it in Google Scholar. A high citation count means what? The article has been influential in the field and should certainly be included in your literature review. Then comes the second step, that is evaluate and select the sources. Because you probably won't be able to read absolutely everything that has been written on the topic. You will have to evaluate which sources are most relevant to your research problem. For each publication, you need to ask yourself, what are the key concepts and how are they defined? What are the key theories, models, and methods? What are the results and conclusions of the study? How does the publication contribute to your understanding of the topic? What are the strengths and weakness of the research? So make sure the sources you use are credible, and make sure you read any landmark studies and major theories in your field of research. The scope of your research will depend on your topic and discipline. For example, in the sciences, you usually only review recent literature, but in the humanities, you might take a long historical perspective. For example, to trace how a concept has changed in meaning over time. So it is important to keep track of your sources with citations to avoid plagiarism. It can be helpful to make an annotated bibliography where you compile full citation information and write a paragraph of summary and analysis for each source. This helps you remember what you read and saves time later in the process. Third point is identify themes, debates, and gaps. So here, if we talk of the third point, so here you can see that the first thing is what we need to identify is what are the trends and patterns. To begin organizing your literature reviews argument and structure, you need to understand the connections and relations between the sources you have read. So based on your reading and notes, you can look for the trends and patterns. Do certain approaches become more and more popular over time, or you can see whether they have come less popular over time. The second thing is the themes. What questions or concepts recur across the literature? Third is debates, conflicts, and contradictions. Where do sources disagree? Pivotal publications. Are there any influential theories or studies that change the direction of the field? And the gaps. What is missing from the literature? Are there weaknesses that need to be addressed? So, this step will help you work out the structure of your literature review and show how your own research will contribute to existing knowledge. Fourth step is outline your literature review structure. So this literature review, it may be chronological. Chronological means it is the simplest approach to trace the development of the topic over time. If you choose this strategy, be careful to avoid simply listening and summarizing sources in order. Try to analyze the patterns, turning points, and key debates that have shaped and the direction of the field. Give your interpretation of how and why certain developments occurred. Second is thematic. Thematic means if you have found some recurring central themes, you can organize your literature review into subsections that address different aspects of the topic. For example, if you are reviewing literature about the properties of the concrete, then you can subsection give the different properties, for example, the strength, the durability, the permeability, and so on. Next comes the methodological. If you draw your sources from different disciplines or fields that use a variety of research methods, you might want to compare the results and conclusions that emerge from different approaches. Now, you can see what results have emerged in qualitative or quantitative research. Discuss how the topic has been approached by empirical versus theoretical scholarship. Or you can divide your literature into sociological, historical, or cultural sources. Last one is the theoretical. It is often the foundation for a theoretical framework. You can use it to discuss various theories, models, and definitions of key concepts. You might argue for the relevance of a specific theoretical approach or combine various theoretical concepts to create a framework for your research. And the last step is write your literature review. So, literature review is a process when you have surveyed all the information sources, then you need to write it in systematic manner. So, just like any other academic text, your literature review should have an introduction, main body, and a conclusion. So what you include in each, that depends upon the objective of your literature review. First is the introduction. So the introduction should clearly establish the focus and purpose of literature review. If you are writing a literature review for dissertation, then reiterate your central problem or research question and give a brief summary of the scholarly context. You can emphasize the timeliness of the topic or highlight a gap in the literature, why you are conducting this studies. If this is a standalone literature review, just for one paper, then give some background on the topic and its importance and discuss the scope of the literature you will review. So, and then you need to state the objectives. What new insight will you draw from the literature? After that comes the body. Now, depending on the length of your literature review, you might want to divide the body into subsections. So you can use a subheading for each theme, time period, or methodological approach. As you write, you can summarize and synthesize. You can give an overview of the main points in each source and combine them into a coherent whole. Then analyze and interpret. Don't just paraphrase other researchers. Add your own interpretation wherever possible, discussing the significance of findings in relation to the literature as a whole. Then you need to critically evaluate. Evaluate means mention the strengths and weakness of your sources. Write in well-structured paragraph, use transitions and topic sentences to draw connections, comparisons and contrasts. After that comes the conclusion. So in the conclusion, you should summarize the key findings you have taken from the literature and emphasize their significance. Now again, if you are writing a dissertation literature review, then show how your research addresses the gaps and contributes new knowledge, or discuss how you have drawn on existing theories and methods to build a framework for your research. And if it is a standalone literature review, just for a paper, then you can discuss the overall implications of the literature or make suggestions for future research based on the gaps you have identified. And when you have finished writing and revising your literature review, don't forget to proofread thoroughly before submitting. And the second thing is plagiarism check of your report. So at the end, we can say that a good literature review doesn't just summarize the sources, it analyzes, synthesizes, and critically evaluates to give a clear picture of the state of knowledge